Clever people can pretend to be stupid, the reverse is far more difficult, as Kurt Tucholsky once observed. Most people have remarkably short memories. They are absorbed in today's news, in sports, in the inevitable problems of daily life, and little else seems to matter. The age of computers and television has brought information closer to them, but it has not changed them. They cling to fixed opinions, align themselves with some ideology or religion, and give scarcely a thought to the past, as if nothing could alter it anyway. The past is considered passé. Yet we are the product of our history, as humanity itself is the product of its own. Those who know history can draw lessons from it, avoid mistakes others have made, and see the future with more clarity. This applies both to individuals and to society as a whole. Perhaps our heads are round so that our thinking can occasionally change direction, though this is little help if our minds are empty. Those who know nothing tend to believe everything. When the past conflicts with our present views, we dismiss it with a shrug. Things were different then. Young people often disregard the old because they lived in different times. We see our present as the culmination of all past knowledge, the peak of understanding. Yet this is an illusion, especially if we ignore what the past can teach us. By suppressing the lessons of history, we leave ourselves vulnerable when similar events arise again. Plato's dialogues repeatedly suggest that humanity has endured multiple annihilations, of which Atlantis was only one. Most people, especially in intellectual circles, scoff at this. Atlantis? Devastation? Nonsense. I, however, hold a different view, convinced that Plato's accounts can indeed be substantiated. On a September morning in 1985, Henri Coscar, a diver working for a school in Cassis, east of Marseille, descended into the deep waters of the Morge Gate. He was seeking nothing in particular, merely the chance to admire the underwater scenery. At the base of a small rock slippage, 115 feet down, he noticed the mouth of a cave and swam cautiously inside. The cave led to an ascending underwater tunnel, but Coscar, pressed for time with only half an hour of oxygen and without lights or cameras, chose not to proceed further. A few weeks later, he returned, this time accompanied by his friends Mark and Bernard and equipped with proper diving gear. Together they navigated a 130-foot corridor and finally emerged at the surface of an underwater lake. Their lights revealed an astonishing scene. Painted on the west wall were two horses, and on the roof, a goat rendered in black charcoal, covered by a layer of transparent calcite. Wading through the water and removing their flippers, they discovered the air in the caverns was aromatic, resinous, but perfectly breathable. In an adjoining hall, larger still, their lights revealed an entire gallery: bison, penguins, cats, antelopes, a seal, and even geometric symbols. Coscar showed photographs to archaeologists, who were largely uninterested, skeptical, or dismissive. It was not until 6 years later, on September 19, 1991, that the French Navy's research vessel Archéonaut anchored off Cape Morge. 11 frogmen followed Coscar into the cave system while 8 experts, including 2 archaeologists, remained on board. Special equipment mapped the underwater galleries and even retrieved small samples of the paintings. Carbon-14 dating confirmed their age, at least 18,440 years old. The connection to Atlantis becomes clear. 18,440 years ago, the Mediterranean surface was 115 feet lower than today, meaning the entrance to these caves once stood on dry land. Rising sea levels have since submerged them. Similar evidence lies in Malta, with its prehistoric temples and mysterious cart ruts carved into limestone. In 2 locations, these ruts extend directly into the Mediterranean's depths. Since the creators were neither intelligent fish nor equipped with bronze diving suits and wooden air pumps, the conclusion is inescapable: the sea level has risen. Tracks run everywhere across Malta, some vanishing into the Mediterranean's depths, silent witnesses to a world that existed long before our own. Does this only apply to the Mediterranean? Far from it. Evidence of rising sea levels can be found all over the world. On the Atlantic coast near the Breton village of Karnak stand thousands of menhirs, giant stones, arranged in long colonnades, known as alignments. Originally, there must have been more than 15,000 of them. Archaeologists are still puzzled over their purpose. One of these stone avenues disappears beneath the waters of the Gulf of Morbihan, while off the tiny island of Erlanik lies a great underwater stone circle, visible only at low tide through a diving mask. The conclusion is unmistakable: the sea level of the Atlantic has risen. And these are far from isolated examples. The rise in Mediterranean and Atlantic sea levels cannot be denied. What about the Pacific? The south coast of Okinawa, Japan, is a diver's paradise, with crystal-clear waters that conceal countless World War II shipwrecks. In March 1995, divers discovered strange rectangular stone structures just over 100 feet deep, all encrusted with coral. At first, it was unclear whether they were natural formations or man-made. Once Japanese newspapers reported the discovery, an underwater treasure hunt ensued. Broad stairways led to sunken squares, cobbled streets, altar-shaped structures, carved monoliths, and even a small tower, scattered across Yonaguni and the nearby islands of Kerama and Aguni. The Japanese archaeologist Masaaki Kimura of the University of the Ryukyu Islands wrote a detailed study of these astonishing finds. Once again, the evidence pointed to a single conclusion: the Pacific sea level has also risen. Sunken buildings can also be found near Bimini in the Caribbean and Ponape in the Caroline Islands. Yet even above the surface, our textbook models seem too simplistic. East of Mexico City rises the Pyramid of Cuicuilco, now surrounded by suburbs. A rounded, three-tiered cone, its apex flattened, the pyramid is built of head-sized stones. 3 of its sides were buried under 1 to 3 meters of volcanic ash from an eruption. Clearly, the pyramid must have existed before the lava covered it. Geologists estimate that the nearby volcano last erupted 7,000 to 8,000 years ago. Archaeologists, however, insist this is impossible. They argue the pyramid was built between AD 500 and 800, reasoning that no civilization in Mexico 7,000 years ago could have constructed such a structure. To settle the debate, holes were drilled along the volcanic layer for 300 meters, and samples were taken for carbon-14 dating by the UCLA Radiocarbon Laboratory in 1957 and 1962. The results were astonishingly varied, ranging from AD 414 to 4765 BC, leaving everyone free to pick the date that suited their theory. Mistakes had also been made during sampling. In 1920, the American archaeologist Dr. Byron Cummings excavated deep into the pyramid and uncovered 3 layers of volcanic material. Between each layer, remains of distinct civilizations, bones, artifacts, fragments of pottery, appeared. The pyramid wall extended to the deepest layer, proving that the structure had endured repeated eruptions, with new civilizations building alongside it each time. Cuicuilco is just one of many examples that classical archaeology has either overlooked or misstated. For over 50 years, however, documents have existed that prove the existence of an advanced civilization more than 12,000 years ago. This civilization created highly accurate maps of coastlines, including Antarctica, at a time when the continent was ice-free. The story of one such map begins in 1929, when the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul was being converted into a museum. Among the artifacts, Halil Eldem, director of the Turkish National Museum, discovered a fragment of a map drawn by Piri Reis, an Ottoman admiral. Begun in 1513 and completed 4 years later, the map was painted on gazelle hide in delicate colors, annotated with handwritten notes along the edges. Piri Reis, who commanded the fleet and was fascinated by maritime science, explained that towns and castles were marked with red lines, uninhabited regions with black, cliffs and rocks with dots, sandy spots with red dots, and reefs with crosses. Piri Reis compiled this remarkable map from 20 older maps, including one by Christopher Columbus, who had returned to Europe in 1500. He even incorporated maps dating back to the time of Alexander the Great and others based on geometric tables. Clearly, the admiral understood the uniqueness of his work, declaring, "No one owns a map like this at present." It wasn't long before people noticed that Piri Reis's remarkable map only showed half the world. The right side of the gazelle hide was torn, leaving the rest missing. Soon after its discovery, the German Orientalist Professor Paul Kale studied it and, in September 1931 at the 18th Orientalist Congress in Leiden, announced that Piri Reis must have used fragments of a lost Columbus map. Later that same year, Professor Oberhammer of the Vienna Academy of Science examined the map and arrived at the same conclusion. The discovery caught public attention. Newspapers reported on it, and the Society for Research into Turkish History commissioned the state printing works in Istanbul to make the map available to more scholars. By 1933, it had been transferred onto a metal printing plate and reproduced in a facsimile edition of 1,000 copies. The first edition sold out within months, prompting the Turkish Navy's Hydrographic Institute to produce a second run, 12,500 full-size maps and 10,000 in reduced format. By the 1940s, museums and libraries around the world had obtained copies. In 1954, the map reached the desk of American cartographer Arlington H. Mallory, a lifelong specialist in historical sea charts. Mallory was electrified. At the lower edge of the map appeared a continent with offshore islands that Piri Reis could not possibly have known about in 1513, Antarctica. Even if the admiral had used a map by Columbus, it offered no solution, for Columbus had no knowledge of Antarctica either. Mallory consulted his colleague Walters at the U.S. Navy's Hydrographic Institute. Walters was baffled. He marveled at the precise distances between the Old and New Worlds. In 1513, America had barely appeared on European maps, and even Columbus's charts could never have included such exact details. Western South America's high mountains were depicted, regions explored only decades later by Francisco Pizarro. Even the Canary Islands and the Azores were placed with uncanny precision. The two cartographers noticed something even stranger. Piri Reis had either ignored the usual coordinates of the time or treated the Earth as a flat disk. To make sense of it, Mallory and Walters overlaid a coordinate grid on the map and transferred positions to a globe. Their astonishment only grew. Not only were the outlines of North and South America remarkably accurate, but Antarctica's coastline appeared exactly where it would be today. In the stormy seas south of Tierra del Fuego, the map showed a narrow land bridge connecting to Antarctica, a land bridge that indeed existed at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago. Every bay, every offshore island was drawn with painstaking accuracy, though today it lies hidden beneath a thick sheet of ice. The question remained, how had Piri Reis obtained this knowledge? In 1957, during the International Year of Geophysics, Jesuit Father Lanham, director of Weston Observatory and a U.S. Navy cartographer, examined the map. He reached the same conclusion as his predecessors. The Antarctic portion was astonishingly accurate, including details only confirmed during the Swedish, British, Norwegian expeditions of 1949 and 1952. On August 28, 1958, the University of Georgetown hosted a public hearing on the mystery of the Piri Reis map. Walters spoke first, admitting how difficult it was to comprehend how cartographers could have achieved such accuracy centuries before modern methods. Mallory echoed the sentiment, marveling that the map included precise longitude measurements, something humanity could reliably calculate only in the past 2 centuries. Lanham confirmed the significance, noting that seismological research into Antarctica supported many of the map's details, from land masses to islands and mountain projections, suggesting the map's accuracy was even greater than currently believed. The map soon came to the attention of Professor Charles Hapgood at Keene State College in New Hampshire. With his students, he analyzed it in detail, ultimately publishing a study concluding that the map provided the first solid evidence of an advanced civilization far older and more capable than previously recognized. This civilization had mapped Antarctica when its coastlines were ice-free and possessed navigational tools precise enough to determine longitude centuries before Europeans mastered the technique. What had once been dismissed as myth now stood as undeniable proof. On July 6, 1960, Harold Z. Ohlmeyer, then head of the U.S. Air Force's Antarctic Mapping Department, wrote to Hapgood, confirming the implications. The Piri Reis map must have been drawn before Antarctica was buried under roughly a mile of ice. How Piri Reis obtained this knowledge, with 16th century tools and centuries before the Antarctic expeditions, remained, and remains, a mystery. Professor Charles Hapgood and his students devoted 2 years to studying the Piri Reis map. One question dominated their work: what coordinate system had the Turkish admiral used, and where had he established his reference point? It soon became clear that Alexandria, Egypt, must have served as the origin. Piri Reis clearly accounted for the globe's curvature, but how had he done it? The answer pointed to a system of trigonometry, triangulation, but where had he obtained such advanced knowledge? Eratosthenes, the Greek scholar and mapmaker who had once directed the Library of Alexandria under Ptolemy III, had written extensively on cartography. Yet his maps did not employ trigonometry. Hapgood and his team concluded that the original map on which Piri Reis had relied must have originated from a civilization with a far more advanced understanding of science than the ancient Greeks. These sources, long lost to history, had produced charts and documents whose precision exceeded even what classical antiquity could achieve. Hapgood and his students created detailed comparative tables between the Piri Reis map and modern maps. The results were staggering. The discrepancies were minimal, often negligible. How could the coastlines of Antarctica, covered by ice for millennia, appear so accurately on a 16th century map? It seemed miraculous, yet miracles have their basis in fact. Still, something about the map defied explanation. Hapgood noted, parts of the Caribbean on the Piri Reis map presented us with the greatest difficulties. They don't seem to fit into the rest of the picture. Only the eastern coast of Cuba appeared, the western side was missing. Instead, a landmass twice the size of the present Caribbean islands was attached in its place. Even the island's name was wrong. Piri Reis called it Hispaniola, a misnomer that Columbus had reserved for what we now know as Haiti in the Dominican Republic. How could such a glaring error appear on an otherwise flawless map? Hapgood suspected that Piri Reis had relied on two sources, an ancient map of unknown origin, possibly from the Library of Alexandria, and either a Columbus map or the account of a sailor who had accompanied Columbus. The confusion between these sources could explain the Cuba anomaly, but it also raises a tantalizing question: what did the original map depict in this region? Could it have been a large island, perhaps even the legendary Atlantis? Although current knowledge cannot answer this definitively, there are intriguing hints. Columbus called his new land Hispaniola, but the native peoples referred to it as Quisqueya, or Mother of Lands, echoing ancient tradition. In Plato's Greek account, Atlantis is the Polis Atlantis, the city of Atlas. Strikingly, similar names appear in Central American lore. The Mayans spoke of a realm called Tula, once known as Izmachi, and even earlier as Aztlan. Joachim Ridstig, former principal of the German school in El Salvador and an expert in the Mayan calendar, traced connections between Aztlan and Atlantis, claiming that in 12,901 BC a city called Aztlan existed in what is now Guatemala, with precise coordinates: 15 degrees 33.5 north, 89 degrees 05.5 west. While there were no Mayans in 12,901 BC, tribes often preserved ancient names and traditions across millennia. The Mayans left behind astonishing sculptures in cities like Copan and Honduras. These enigmatic steles and anthropomorphic structures defy conventional understanding, suggesting a civilization that had forgotten the workings of its own advanced technologies. Even the famous grave slab of Pacal in Palenque, Mexico, belongs to this tradition. Interpretations of these figures as cosmic monsters fail to capture their likely origin, symbols of a once technological society, now shrouded in myth. Even the word Aztec derives from Aztlan, the ancestral homeland of the Aztecs, said to have been an island. According to the Spanish monk Fray Diego Duern, the tribes took refuge in the caves of Aztlan in Tecohuacan after a terrible catastrophe. Their original homeland had been Aztlan. Although we cannot definitively locate Atlantis, the Caribbean region seems a plausible candidate. Plato's story ignited centuries of speculation. Around 3,600 books have explored it, and debates continue to this day. From a geological standpoint, however, Atlantis could not have simply sunk. Dr. Johannes Feibag explains why the seafloor and continents behave differently. Oceanic plates, made of dense basalt, sink beneath lighter continental plates, which float atop the asthenosphere like icebergs. A continent composed of granite, such as Atlantis, cannot submerge beneath the waves. Its weight prevents it. In other words, a continent cannot vanish simply by sinking. It is physically impossible. Despite all this clear scientific perspective, Atlantis has vanished from the face of the earth, as Plato famously wrote. Yet a land does not need to sink to disappear beneath the waves. A rising sea can accomplish the same effect. No one disputes that this is what happened at the end of the last ice age, when melting glaciers slowly raised global sea levels. But it was a gradual process, not the sudden, catastrophic event described by Plato. The technically advanced inhabitants of Atlantis would likely have escaped in time aboard ships, unless, of course, a cosmic disaster compounded the melting ice, perhaps an asteroid striking the ocean and triggering immense tidal waves. Modern evidence suggests that such catastrophes have indeed occurred in humanity's past. Geologists have found ocean corals on Hawaii, 1,000 feet above sea level, deposited by massive tidal waves. Around 11,400 years ago, temperatures on Earth rose by 7 degrees in just a decade, as Greenland ice cores revealed in 1993. And over the past 67 years, astronomers have discovered more than 100 small planets passing close to Earth, one of which, Sphi, is projected to come within 1 million miles on October 2028. An asteroid impact in the ocean could generate tidal waves flooding thousands of kilometers of coastline and turning countless cities into mud and ruin. We live in a generation preoccupied with potential climate catastrophes. The greenhouse effect is widely discussed as a looming threat, blamed on humanity's carbon dioxide emissions. Those who question this narrative are often dismissed as irresponsible, even unreasonable. Yet, surprisingly, 81% of American climatologists interpret the greenhouse effect quite differently, based on empirical data. Nonetheless, political and ideological pressures continue to spread misleading information, and computers churn out simulations based on dubious models. Much of what passes for climate research today is, in effect, garbage in, garbage out, though its purveyors are well compensated. There is no disputing that Northern Europe was buried under ice 10,000 years ago. Erratic boulders scattered across the landscape bear witness to glacial movements. Yet what caused these abrupt temperature swings, repeatedly triggering ice ages, remains largely unexplained. Plato was right, Periodic devastations, particularly in coastal regions, did occur, sometimes with human involvement, sometimes without. The truth is that such catastrophes have already played out many times, long before politics and ideology tried to appropriate them. Sea levels rose, disasters occurred, and evidence remains. The Piri race map shows an ice-free Antarctica, ancient structures lie submerged off Okinawa, the Sahara was once fertile. And no matter which witness we call on, Greek geographers like Strabo, Roman historians like Pliny, philosophers like Hesiod, or even ancient Phoenicians such as Sanchoniathon, the accounts converge. The events they describe reach back 10,000 years or more. These tales are far older than any modern research can date, and many describe encounters with technology that seems impossibly advanced for the time. Apollo's flying chariot, the robot Talos patrolling Crete, these are not mere myths, they hint at a level of technological sophistication that would have been incomprehensible to Stone Age societies. Perhaps, as some have speculated, these gods were, in fact, alien visitors. Our modern science, which shapes media narratives, prefers to ignore these anomalies. But there is little point in fretting over it. As Marcus Aurelius once remarked, it is senseless to get annoyed with the world, for it isn't in the least bit bothered if you do. Again, the purpose here is to help people understand this journey we're exploring, our origins, our connection to energy, and how our understanding has been obscured over time. In the first part, we pointed out, as seen in verse 69, that society may have misclassified us as men and women. When we examined the hieroglyphic symbols for male and female, we encountered the Zaz intact, along with the lock known as the Sabat, which cuts us off from our nine ether, our mental energy. The two energies referred to as NWPU represent life and living, while their opposite, Zupu in a sandwich, represents death, decay, and dying. In Tibet, males are referred to as Zaz, females as Takt, and the lock over them, the Sabat, symbolizes the obstruction of the flow of energy. If you were to take the English letter N and turn it 90 degrees, perpendicular to its axis, you would arrive at the Z sound, showing symbolically how we are fixed, blocked, or cut off from that energetic flow. We are not entirely cut off, of course. We receive energy from the sun with every waking moment, and from other stars as well. Yet our ignorance, literally, the act of ignoring facts, prevents us from consciously processing and fully benefiting from this energy. Modern life, with 9-to-5 jobs and office walls, keeps us from the optimal reception of this cosmic affirmation. Consciously, we do not utilize the energy as our ancestors intended. Our lineage, formed in alignment with the sun, represents its terrestrial embodiment. It is not the enemy. The cultures that vilify sunlight misunderstand our ancestral relationship with it. For example, black people with sufficient melanin do not naturally require sunscreen, yet in the West, they are taught to protect themselves as if their bodies respond like Caucasians. This reflects a broader systemic ignorance, a one-size-fits-all model applied to all people, ignoring ancestral and biological differences. Modern medicine and thinking operate in a single mode, a single vibration. Blackness, in contrast, contains all colors within the spectrum, the full range of information, the fullness of energy. This holistic reception was intentionally obstructed in many ways, symbolically reflected in the mummy's lock, designed to preserve DNA until future generations could unlock it. The ritual maintained the mental link between the body and consciousness, ensuring that knowledge and energy could be reconnected once technology or understanding allowed. The interruption of this mental link, what we might call the soul, can occur, but it can also be restored. Consider the analogy of an internet connection. It can be broken, blocked, or lost, yet it can also be restored if one understands how to maintain it. Disruptions occur when a person loses control over their decision-making through drugs, miseducation, or following doctrines that do not reflect their own mind. When this happens, the mental link is compromised, and the individual is cut off from their true spiritual power, leaving them vulnerable while others benefit from the disconnection. In natural science, the smallest particles of material matter, what we might call brain effect seeds, have always existed. This energy, which is female in origin, imparts motion and force and underlies all being. Understanding these seeds, and the flow of energy between male and female, consciousness and body, is essential to reclaiming our connection to the full spectrum of life. The spark of divine consciousness, the mental essence of our being, projects down to form the soul. This projection establishes a link between the spiritual plane and the physical mind, which is received by the brain. If the soul or this mental link is neglected or blocked, it weakens or can be lost entirely. Conversely, understanding and cultivating this link allows restoration, much like reconnecting a severed communication line. From this perspective, the teachings of the ancients make sense. Darkness, often portrayed as evil, is in fact the origin, the womb of creation. Light emerges from darkness, life begins in a hidden, protected state before birth. Just as the mind and soul can be disconnected and restored, so too can energy, understanding, and knowledge be blocked or recovered depending on our actions, environment, and consciousness. Ultimately, the human experience, our breath, our solar plexus, the spark of consciousness, and the alignment of male and female energies reflects a cosmic and ancestral order. Ignorance, modern systems, and misplaced doctrines may obscure this reality, but the evidence remains in nature, in symbols, and in the teachings of our ancestors. This is not myth. This is fact, observable and reproducible, awaiting recognition by those willing to see beyond imposed limitations. This represents the mental aspect of existence. The mental side, by its nature, is constant. Though it does not have inherent motion, it requires a mechanism to express itself. In other words, for the rules that govern things to manifest, there must be a way for mental energy to move and transform. This is why the word being carries the suffix ing. It signifies motion, a chain of transformation from a state of stillness into action. There's a distinction to understand here. The supreme on the sand exists without motion, as pure potential. The supreme being, by contrast, represents that potential expressed as energy in motion, active and dynamic. In previous lessons, we discussed opposites. The male's mate is female, the mind's mate is emotion, and emotion's mate is mind. In this framework, mental energy is distinct from physical energy. It does not inherently move, but it can be expressed and acted upon. Let's break this down further. Material, physical things, mata, exist and are moved by nashit, the energy of action, emotion, and movement in time and space. This is the triad principle, energy as material, active, action-oriented, full of attraction and movement. Energy as being, representing space and potential, and active until drawn into expression. Mental expression, flowing from mind to brain, from thought to manifestation. This brings us to the distinction between somethingness and nothingness. About 90% of existence, as modern instrumentation shows, is invisible, dark energy and dark matter. Only about 10% of the universe is visible, stars, planets, and other matter. Dark energy and dark matter exist, yet are unseen, just as the mental or spiritual aspects of ourselves are real even when unperceived. All things begin as things potential entities. As they grow, other things are attracted to them, orbiting or rotating around them, just as atoms revolve around a nucleus or cells contain orbiting organelles. In this context, humans exist as central beings in their own universes, the supreme being, the ultimate expression of creation. This explains why religions speak of a solitary God. The existence of the individual creates a reflection of divinity, a contradiction resolved only by recognizing oneself as a manifestation of the divine. Humans are not born into religion, they are taught it. We are born knowing how to survive, how to nurse, how to breathe, innate programming like the ROM of a computer. Worship, doctrine, and religious titles are introduced later, imposed externally. From our perspective, these are myths imposed upon natural knowledge, not truths we inherently carry. Now consider numbers in creation. 1 represents the uniform, the omniverse, the true form. All else are versions or offspring of the original. In the Egyptian tradition, the letter M, mother, represents this source, the creator of all forms. 1000, and followed by 3 zeros, symbolizes creation in space, matter, and time, a gestation process through which different forms of being emerge, from early reptilian or astral forms to fully independent human existence. The transition from nothingness to somethingness involves energy moving from potential to manifestation, from mental energy to physical material. On the nothingness side, we call it energy material. On the physical side, we refer to it as material energy. The distinction matters. It reflects the way our ancestors thought, the logic embedded in their symbols and doctrine. Inverted symbols, opposites, and pairings teach us to understand these principles deeply. Learning this is about engaging both the mind and the heart. The texts are not designed to trick or confuse, they are tools for those who sincerely seek knowledge. To overstand is different from simply reading. Overstanding involves using your inner skeptic as a tool, challenging the doctrine against itself, sharpening your mind by testing the material. Skepticism here is constructive, it refines your understanding. The ancients' teachings were self-contained. Sumerians taught Sumerians, Egyptians taught Egyptians. We must also journey inward to reconnect with our own doctrine and verify it through experience. Only then can we truly overstand, balancing spiritual practice, study, and mental rigor. Ignoring any of these elements gives an incomplete picture. A holistic understanding requires engagement with all aspects, not selective consumption, just as one cannot eat only chicken wings and ignore the vegetables if one seeks nourishment. Ultimately, this path teaches us to reclaim knowledge lost through ignorance and distraction. The mind, body, and soul are interconnected. Energy and matter are reflections of each other, and through disciplined study, reflection, and practice, we can restore the connection between nothingness and somethingness, between potential and motion, between mind and being. To achieve a holistic understanding, the meal of knowledge, you have to engage with everything that's presented on the plate. You can't pick and choose. Every aspect of the teaching is there to shape your being and expand your understanding. Books, lectures, rituals, symbols, they all form part of this repertoire. When you integrate them, you begin to grasp the nature of information and how it impacts existence. Now, with that understanding, let's revisit energy and matter. Material is energy. Energy manifests in various states: active action, love, and attraction. Energy can be configured in opposing forms, and attraction is one of the key rules of nature. Energy as being is interesting. Material particles themselves can exist as energy and occupy space. On the nothingness side, space is necessary for matter to express itself. So we have two forms: energy space, active expression, and space energy, inactive, mental potential, the latter being attracted into becoming. There are two states in this process: order and chaos. Particles with purpose, organized into a system, represent order. Particles existing aimlessly, without direction or purpose, represent chaos. On the nothingness side, energy exists in a latent state until expressed. When it expresses, it moves from potential into manifestation. This process can be traced from mental energy to mind energy to brain energy. The mind allows mental energy to manifest physically. This is why ancient practices, like mummification, were so precise. Preserving the body allowed the energy to remain intact, while rituals like the opening of the mouth return the soul to its source. The brain itself liquefies over time, but the mental connection can be ritualistically preserved and restored. Mind, as expressed in the brain, is an individual portion of the greater mental reservoir. That's why it can be thought of as mine, my personal portion of universal mental energy. The mind is the link that draws energy from the mental reservoir into physical expression. Everything exists between two extremes: absolute somethingness and absolute nothingness. On the physical side, we perceive material or matter. In space, we perceive a vacuum or absence, yet even that contains latent activity. Brain activity, mental energy, and mind expression all exist in this state of tension, interacting between the absolute and the void. The smallest particles, brain effect seeds or nakata dots, exist in a condition between matter and vacuum. They become active when conditions align, producing sparks of energy and synapses. Synapses, the spaces between neurons, allow mental energy to be expressed as thought and reasoning. When matter and vacuum align perfectly, a magical effect occurs. Creation, reasoning, and manifestation are made possible. This principle extends beyond the brain. In nature, creative energy exists only in two forms: dark matter and dark energy. All physical and mental processes flow from these creative forms. Just as a seed grows into a tree, expressing itself fully, energy and matter move through states of being, becoming, and manifestation. When the fruit matures and is consumed, its seeds re-enter the soil, beginning the cycle again. Likewise, the Supreme Being retains its connection throughout existence unless natural processes are disrupted. Even within us, opposites exist in balance. The soul seeks its source, sometimes in opposition to the physical body, which naturally seeks to return to the soil from which it came. Energy, matter, mind, and soul interact in complex, often subtle ways, revealing the harmony, order, and chaos inherent in nature. In short, to understand the universe and ourselves, we must see the interplay between matter and vacuum, mind and energy, potential and expression. Every teaching, every practice, every observation contributes to this holistic understanding. You can't skip parts, each element is necessary for the complete picture. The physical body and the soul are often in opposition. The body is made from matter, the substances crafted from the environment, including bacteria and organic elements, and it naturally seeks to return to the soil or source from which it came. The soul, on the other hand, seeks to return to its origin in the mental or spiritual realm. Because of this, conflict can arise between what the body desires and what the soul seeks. This is why mental discipline is crucial. The mind, left unchecked, will pursue what feels good in the moment, but those impulses may not serve the body's or soul's best interest. For example, the mind might want to consume excessive amounts of food or indulge in other impulses. That doesn't mean those actions are beneficial for the body. The mind is influenced by many factors, ancestral patterns, emotions, environment, and without discipline, it can act contrary to overall well-being. You must act as both director and actor within yourself. The mind will attempt to follow its own impulses, but your reasoning ability must regulate it. This is the essence of self-control. Fasting provides a clear example. The body may crave sustenance, but the mind must discipline itself to achieve the intended spiritual or physical outcome. By saying no to temporary desire, the individual aligns with higher goals. At lower levels of existence, these opposites or juxtapositions, mind versus body, natural versus unnatural, exist to teach balance and understanding. In the physical realm, life and death are naturally paired. The human body, at this stage of expression, has a finite lifespan. Disease, decay, and mortality serve to reinforce the natural order. Similarly, many biological systems exhibit this principle of juxtaposition. The lungs, for instance, are shaped like inverted trees, taking in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Nature mirrors and balances these processes. Male and female reproductive systems also demonstrate this dynamic. Because the male contributes genetic material externally, the body must accommodate the sperm, creating protective structures like the amniotic sac to ensure successful development. These are examples of natural versus artificial complexity introduced by the interaction of separate beings. These physical complexities reflect higher principles in the mind and spiritual realm. Just as matter and vacuum interact to allow brain energy to flow, so too do biological and cosmic systems operate through coordinated interactions. Brain activity relies on the interplay between matter, neurotransmitters, neurons, and vacuum, the potential or space in which energy moves. Synapses, the spaces between neurons, allow brain energy, or brain seeds, to activate, traverse, and form reasoning and thought. This is the material manifestation of divine thought, the process by which potential becomes expression. The hierarchy of expression, from mental energy to mind to physical brain energy, follows a universal pattern. The melting down of these brain seeds enables thought, reasoning, and manifestation. Within this process, there is no need for intermediaries like external gods. The connection is direct, from the source of existence through the mind into expression. Hieroglyphs and symbols encode this understanding. For example, the basket symbol, Nabab, represents empty space, yet space is never truly empty, it contains latent potential. Symbols of pregnancy, the placenta, water, and earth convey the interplay of material, vacuum, and life energy. Even names of beings encode these principles, showing the journey from potential to manifestation, from being to becoming to being realized. By studying ourselves, our minds, and our environment, we begin to understand the mechanics of existence. The universe is reflected in us, making self-study a fundamental method for understanding universal laws. Physical and mental opposites, biological juxtapositions, and the interaction of matter and vacuum are all part of this framework. Discipline, awareness, and reasoning allow us to navigate these opposites, manifest our potential, and align with the original source of existence. In short, the mind must be disciplined, the body must be understood, and the interaction of all forces, mental, physical, and cosmic, must be observed and harmonized. This is the path to mastery over self, life, and understanding of the universe. We are speaking here about one universe within the omniverse. This universe was birthed approximately 24 billion years ago and is destined to exist until roughly 9 sextillion years from its birth. That's 9 followed by 21 zeros. Earth itself formed about 5.4 billion years ago. Our moon developed and slowly moved into its precise distance from the planet. Over time, it will gradually drift away. About 180 million years ago, the continents separated, allowing hominoids to emerge from the waters and inhabit the land. We shaped the atmosphere to contain 24% oxygen so life could breathe and exhale carbon dioxide. Our sun was birthed from hydrogen into helium roughly 4.5 billion years ago, and cosmic events, including impacts, shaped the planet. Around 2.4 billion years ago, Earth was covered in ice, transforming from blue to white. Over millions of years, the ice melted, returning the planet to a state suitable for life. These cosmic cycles are reflected in our measurement systems, 24 hours in a day, 24 weeks per half year, and the 24,000-year equinox cycle. The planet's equatorial circumference is 24,000 miles, a symbolic connection to these patterns. Within this universe, the interplay of black matter and black energy creates space and time, where both the visible and invisible coexist. Through precise natural laws of action and reaction, worlds are birthed and grow. Cause and effect, a fundamental principle, governs this process. The invisible and the visible, the creator and creation, are intrinsically linked through this cause and effect system, which manifests in cycles spanning 24,000 years. From a single point in space, sparks of energy gave rise to past, present, and future simultaneously. Multiple timelines coexist within the now, expanding through the cardinal directions. Even symbols, like the placenta, mirror this principle. They represent life, potential, and synaptic expression. Replace that symbol with a cross, and its true meaning is revealed. It represents connection, intersection, and creation, not merely the form society assigns it today. Matter and antimatter are two sides of the same cosmic equation, seamlessly transitioning from one to the other. This transition is indivisible, invisible, yet essential for manifestation. The universe expanded from this singular point, elemental matter forming hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, and neon. These elements reflect the interplay of 1 and 0, matter and antimatter, potential and expression. From 1 to 9, we have the foundational forces. 10 brings neon, a new light, representing a new dimension, a new cycle. Life manifests through these principles. Hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon combine in a divine sexual act to produce deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, the true atom. The 4 nucleotides, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine, form the blueprint for life. Ribosomes then synthesize proteins, the building blocks of living systems. Male and female aspects of creation reflect this cosmic pattern. Soulmates, in this framework, are designed to manifest supreme beings, expressions of the divine mind in physical form. Initially, space was amorphous, without form, pure potential. Within it, chaos and order emerged, formless, purposeless energy contrasted with purposeful creation. This principle extends to human activity. Idle, unproductive behavior reflects chaos, while active, creative work reflects order. The primordial cosmos was a swirling dance of energy and life. Twin forces, male and female, crystallized from infinite time, forming seeds of life and energy. From this union, orbs of life ignited, and the cosmos became illuminated in dazzling colors, blue, yellow, and red. These correspond to vibrational principles: F major for cosmic vibration, A major for human vibration, C major for the planet and universe at large. These vibrational laws link cosmos, planet, and human life. The sun produces energy that manifests as black light. Its interaction with matter creates the visible colors of planets. Earth appears blue, Mars red, but these are natural optical phenomena. Any artificial manipulation of these colors would obscure the original cosmic expression. Since the universe's formation, it has been overseen by supreme beings, 9 major ones and 24 minor or secondary beings, led by a single ultimate elder. This elder embodies complete understanding, with 720 degrees of knowledge or overstanding of the universe. The cycles of the universe, including day, night, shadow, and light, reflect this cosmic governance. On Earth, life unfolds according to these principles. The mother, representing material nature, Mata, transforms flesh into life, integrating it with the divine order. She even recycles matter, like dead skin cells, into new creation. The father, representing the mind, Akal, contributes mental energy. Together, material and mental forces unite to produce life while respecting the natural laws of the body and immune system. The body's immune system acts decisively. It does not deliberate emotionally but follows strict rules to protect life. Thus, the universe, life, and human existence all emerge from the same principles: the interplay of matter and antimatter, chaos and order, male and female, mind and body, time and space. From these interactions, consciousness, creativity, and life itself manifest, reflecting the original cosmic design. For example, when a person sneezes, it's a signal that something foreign entered the body. The immune system responds immediately to protect us, even before the sneeze occurs. When the sneeze expels the foreign substance, the risk is gone, but the body doesn't know that yet. The immune system has already been activated. Interestingly, during a sneeze, the heart momentarily pauses, like a hard reset in a computer, and then resumes. Once the system reboots, the immune system recognizes that the foreign entity is gone and deactivates. Understanding these rules shows how life intelligently develops and maintains itself. Life operates within natural laws: the sun, light, DNA, RNA, chromosomes. These are all expressions of intelligent life making decisions to maintain and grow human life within its environment. When material, female, and mental, male, forces unite perfectly in inseparable unison, such as in soulmates, extraordinary and miraculous births occur. Energy manifests in specific ways. Nasha energy, the energy of life, can only exist through material or female energy. Matter as liquid is represented by semen, metal. Matter as solid is represented by the body, faf. Mind represents creative, magnetic energy. These energies are active components of existence, all interacting between the realms of something and nothing, forming a unison where miraculous outcomes are possible. Just as a musician aligns sound with rhythm, the mind organizes these brain seeds to express life at each level of existence. At a deeper level, these energies combine to form a fetus, material, mind, and time emotion. This interplay is expressed in sacred numbers: 9 days, 9 weeks, 9 months, 9 births. 9 is the number of creation, a number that multiplies itself through the cycles of life. For example, 9 plus 9 equals 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9, 18 plus 18 equals 36, 3 plus 6 equals 9, 36 plus 36 equals 72, 7 plus 2 equals 9. 9 represents the mental, mind, while 6 represents the physical, body. For the creation of supreme beings, the mind must guide the body. Mind rules over matter. This principle ensures optimal outcomes, such as the correct timing for conception, gestation, and child development. In human development, a mother provides nourishment through breast milk for approximately the first year, or up to 2 years if needed. After that, the child can receive sustenance from other sources. Nature does not require the mother to perform all caregiving indefinitely. Society often imposes unnecessary rules. The natural order optimizes survival and growth, not cultural interpretations. Humans grow and expand in consciousness and experience through these cycles. The divine mental aspect, mind, connects to physical forms, sperm and ovum, allowing the creation of supreme beings. Soulmates are necessary because they unite complementary mental and physical forces, ensuring the optimal transmission of life energy. The mind, body, and time together govern life's expression. The child is the product of this union, embodying mind, father, matter, mother, and time, as well as carrying the spark of existence. Symbols like the star and crescent reflect this journey, the moon representing the female, the sun representing the male, and the star representing life's spark, the projection of mental energy into matter. 9, as a sacred number, appears repeatedly. It represents mental power, governance, and expansion. Triads, space, matter, and time, manifest in soulmate relationships and life creation. Overseers, like the Nethera, manage the expansion of existence. Their decisions may not always align with human perception but are necessary for the balance and continuity of creation. Through understanding these natural principles, we see that human life, development, and reproduction are not arbitrary. They are the result of precise, intelligent, and harmonious interactions between mind, matter, and time. In this context, the focus is not just on us as children but on the planet itself as a life-sustaining entity. Life may be abundant in the universe, but planets capable of sustaining life are rare. Earth, for example, is precious and must be protected. Even with our current technology, finding another planet similar to ours has proven extremely challenging. The rarity of life-sustaining planets emphasizes the importance of valuing and preserving this one. Looking at symbolic representations, we see the connection between space, empty vacuum, and material, matter. In the symbols used by masters or guides, the female is often represented as the progenitor or origin of all material energy, showing the interdependence of mind and matter. These symbols reflect the principles we've been exploring today, the perfect unity of the one and the zero, where 999 plus 1 equals 1000, the number of perfected unity. We also see the triad principle expressed: space, matter, and time. This is mirrored in the universe, our solar system, and even in the atom. Just as religion later repurposed this into the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the original understanding is of the three in one: mother, father, and child. The sun, the planet, and the moon exemplify the same principle in physical form. The mother's role, symbolically and practically, is as the origin or nurturer, from which life and consciousness emerge. This mirrors the birth of the universe itself. The central sun of the solar system parallels the placement of the central sun, or solar plexus, within a developing human embryo. In both cases, the feminine aspect governs the early stages of creation. The universe in its nebulous stage resembles the embryo stage of human development, with natural law guiding growth and organization. On this planet, life follows precise rules, expressed mathematically and energetically. For example, carbon-based life forms derive from elements, hydrogen, helium, nitrogen, oxygen, and carbon, that align with the number 24, reflecting cosmic order. Energy, matter, and ether interact to form the physical and ethereal realms, linking our bodies to our mental and spiritual expressions. The triad of mind, matter, and time is mirrored in each being, forming a complete whole. Language itself captures these distinctions. For example, ether can refer to energy transfer within the body, internal, or outside the body, external, afar. This differentiation allows precise understanding of energy and material processes, both biologically and cosmologically. This understanding emphasizes the importance of restoring the mind, reconnecting with our ancestors, and reclaiming our cultural and intellectual heritage. Teaching the truths of our existence allows the mind to be reborn or restored, giving us the capacity to think independently and realize our potential. This is not about imitating other cultures but aligning with our own natural, ancestral laws to fulfill our purpose and ascend. In sum, human development, planetary care, and cosmic understanding all follow these interrelated principles. Life emerges through the triad of mind, matter, and time. The feminine governs creation and nurtures growth. Sacred numbers, energy flows, and natural laws dictate optimal processes, and restoration of knowledge and cultural consciousness allows individuals to realize their full potential. In our culture, we don't define ourselves simply as men or women. We are supreme beings. Humanity occupies only a few steps above beasts in the divine hierarchy, which extends far above the level of ordinary humans. One way to visualize this hierarchy is supreme being at the top, followed by humans, mammals, beasts, and so on, descending in complexity and consciousness. Within this context, being a man or woman is not about status or dominance, it is about the sacred roles we embody. These roles are tied to our physicality and cultural organization, helping structure families and societies efficiently. The biblical notion that women were created as helpmates for men is a fallacy introduced by patriarchal translations of ancient texts. Women were never created to serve men. In natural law, women give birth to men, not the other way around. Scientifically, the Y chromosome is smaller and contains less genetic material than the X chromosome, making it impossible for a male, XY, to produce a female, XX, naturally. The male cannot produce the greater genetic blueprint. The female, however, can produce a male. This misunderstanding, rooted in patriarchal interpretations, led to systemic suppression of women, reinforced through religious texts that often describe God as male. Our task now is to restore the true understanding of gender and power. Physical differences exist by design, but they are not indicators of superiority or subservience. They are complementary, structured to optimize the functioning of families and societies, not to impose dominance. In this framework, the mother represents the principle of energy, the source of life and motion. Nature itself demonstrates that energy originates from the maternal principle, stillness into motion, which is foundational to all creation. Symbolically, the female embodies material, matter, the male embodies existence or particles in motion, and the mind or mental aspect, the nine, guides this process. The nine, mental, must rule the six, physical, to maintain harmony and avoid misuse of our physical force, particularly sexual energy. Sexual energy is extremely powerful. Mismanagement, especially in marginalized conditions, can create cycles of pleasure and pain. Overindulgence in sexual activity without foresight leads to unplanned offspring, financial and emotional burdens, and societal strain. Understanding natural laws allows us to plan reproduction intelligently, ensuring children are born at the right time, with optimal conditions and from compatible partners, soulmates. Children of soulmates do not merely resemble one parent or the other, they are a perfect blend of both, expressing attributes of each parent harmoniously. The concept of soulmates is therefore the convergence of supreme beings, male and female, bringing together material, matter, mind, and time in perfect unison. The mind, mental spark, guides the process, ensuring the expression of consciousness forward into the child. The child becomes the vehicle through which the mind continues to manifest, preserving the continuity of existence. In essence, the child brings the parents together as a reflection of the mental principle, harmonizing space and material for the ongoing expression of consciousness. This mental spark projects itself into the spiritual plane, forming the soul. That link, the soul, is a continuous connection to our divine origin. While external influences, addictions, or living in the likeness of others can weaken or sever this link, it can always be restored. Like an internet connection that drops and reconnects, the link to our mental origin and soul can be repaired with the right knowledge, actions, and alignment with natural law. In short, humans are supreme beings, not defined merely by gender. Women are not subservient to men. The maternal principle is foundational in creation. Physical differences are complementary, not hierarchical. Mind, 9, rules body, 6, to optimize control over physical desires. Soulmates come together to produce supreme beings, perfectly blending attributes of both parents. Children serve as the continuation of consciousness, carrying the mental spark forward. The soul, or mental link, can be maintained, lost, or restored depending on alignment with natural law. This understanding reframes our culture, relationships, and reproduction in alignment with natural principles, allowing us to act consciously as supreme beings. When we talk about the soul, it's important to understand that not all races on Earth maintain a direct link back to the original source. Some never had it, and some never will. That link is not automatically transferred through mixing, only those connected to the original mental spark carry it. For people of African descent, the abundance of melanin in the skin is symbolic of this connection. Melanin reflects all colors combined, similar to how blackness represents the whole of existence. Different hues within blackness represent the parts, but the whole is expressed in us as a people. The Negroid or Nagar design embodies the whole, and from this whole, other races were birthed, not out of ego, but as a natural fact of creation. The issue arises when others refuse to acknowledge this reality, covering over these truths. If humanity accepted that all human races descended from Africans, it would simply be a recognition of natural order. Descending from the original state into partial forms represents a weakening of potency, lesser energy or gases at lower etheric levels. In contrast, the Nagaru represents the whole at the highest energy level, 9 ether, the most potent and omnipresent energy in existence. As creation transforms or ages, energy shifts, weakens, or changes form. This is what destruction signifies, not annihilation, but transformation. Knowing oneself is central to restoring the soul connection. Know thyself, as taught by the Master, is more than learning about culture or history. It is understanding the human body, its structures, organs, and functions. We are a universe in microcosm, descended from a dual source, mother and father. To understand the sciences of the universe, we must first understand ourselves. The patterns that exist in the heavens are mirrored on earth and in the human body. This is why ancient Egyptians said they built heaven on earth. Their society reflected cosmic order. Through forced mixing of our ancestors, this connection was broken, resulting in collective amnesia. Restoring that memory requires understanding ourselves, how our bodies work, and how human existence reflects the cosmos. For example, the throne of the mother figure represents her natural role in nourishing life, symbolizing the menstrual cycle, regeneration, and renewal. Menstruation was historically stigmatized by religions, but it is a fundamental process of purification and transformation, tied to lunar cycles and cosmic energies. This demonstrates how cosmic forces affect biology and reinforce the link between human existence and universal consciousness. Not everyone has this apparatus or connection because it originates from the original creative forces. Human existence, male and female, is structured around the principles of cause and effect, growth, and manifestation, which occur first in the darkness before expressing as light. On a physical level, genetics and the mitochondrial line illustrate the importance of the woman in maintaining the continuity of our species. Mitochondrial DNA passes from mother to daughter, preserving the unbroken chain of the lineage. This is why daughters are crucial to sustaining the lineage. Similarly, in ancient Egypt, record-keeping, through Tahuti, Thoth, depicted with the ibis and quill, ensured the preservation of all human activity and knowledge. Our genetic records, like a time-continuous liner, capture every moment from inception to death. These records are stored in the genes, subconscious mind, and, in advanced cases, on crystal discs, NORAD, that allow for dimensional shifts, transferring the essence of a human through space, time, or even into a new physical body. This is one of the ways to circumvent death or preserve consciousness. The term genome represents the totality of these 24,000 genetic records. Chromosomes, while commonly used in science, are merely a descriptive term derived from the dye used to visualize them in labs. The terminology does not capture their true essence. Understanding human genetics requires studying the whole, not just the labels. The word genome itself carries meaning. G relates to earth, from Greek, via Anunnaki/Sumerian, and Nam relates to place. The genome, then, is the body as the place in which genetic expression unfolds. Human bodies are spaces for genes to express. Much like gnomes, small beings in folklore, inhabit a garden. The body is the garden for our genetic material. Thus, genetics and consciousness are inseparable. Studying chromosomes is secondary to studying man himself, because true intelligence arises from understanding the whole being, not just its parts. In essence, the study of life begins with the self, the microcosm reflecting the macrocosm. We have been conditioned to believe that our intelligence and understanding begin with our current human form, often overlooking the origins of life itself. The holy tablets challenge that perception, especially for the Sabians, black people, and others, by pointing us to our beginnings, not as fully formed humans, but as single-celled organisms in the waters of existence. Seeing ourselves as an amoeba or a single cell, the original seed of life, forces a deeper understanding of our origin. Even with modern technology, we can view ultrasounds or scientific images showing development in the womb, yet we rarely regard the sperm and ovum that created us as sacred or central to our identity. If anything, the ultimate family photo would be a picture of the sperm and ovum that fused to form us, the two separate parts that combined to become one. This is the starting point of life, and yet, for most, it remains unseen and unacknowledged. Our mental origin, before even the sperm and ovum, is even further removed from everyday consideration. Structurally, the story of human origin, as described in ancient texts, confirms the knowledge we've lost or had stolen. It shows patterns of deliberate suppression and misnaming, which distort our understanding. For example, when sex cells are donated, the combination of X and Y chromosomes determines the child's sex. The father's body chemistry, levels of zinc and iron, affects whether an X or Y chromosome is passed on, determining whether the child is female, XX, or male, XY. Early studies in the 1990s clarified these patterns, showing that conception follows cause and effect. This is not random, it reflects intelligent design, though our current technological lens is limited in fully capturing it. We also have to appreciate the darkness, the pre-manifest state of existence. This is not evil, it is our origin, the source from which life and consciousness emerge. For instance, the Y chromosome is significantly smaller than the X, symbolically showing that it could not give birth to the larger X. It is an impossibility by nature. These structures, alongside celestial patterns and symbols, link us to the heavens, maintaining continuity with the cosmos. Consider the Orion constellation. In this framework, Asar, male, and Syria, female, are symbolic archetypes, representing the balance of sun, water, and earth, the three principles essential for life. The eye symbol, often depicted in a triangle, represents the window to the soul, bridging our physical world in the higher realms. Ancient maps show that Sirius, as a gateway, connects the world we came from with the world we are born into. Interestingly, human birth itself reflects this bridge. We enter headfirst, aligning with the orientation of our corresponding world before adapting to this physical plane. In the Physical Project 24, we see the evolution of human beings into their current form. Originally, humans were referred to as Patarhites, taller than earlier generations of Sand people. Project 24 describes the seeding of this planet, the restructuring of Earth after cosmic events, and the initial manifestations of life through conjoined twins, male and female pairs that eventually separated into individual sexes. The human form was perfected gradually, not instantaneously, reflecting deliberate experimentation and design. Some beings were born as neutral or double-gendered, hermaphrodites, carrying both male and female energies. Single-gender beings perceive only their own vibrational plane, or abode, while hermaphrodites can perceive multiple abodes. This ability makes them gatekeepers, able to detect and traverse transitions between planes or dimensions. These beings, often called golden children, are especially important. They can realign ancestral energy, restoring the proper vibrational levels for humanity. Our people naturally exist at higher etheric levels, 7 to 9, but displacement into lower vibrations made us susceptible to manipulation by lower forces. The golden children help correct this, guiding energy to where it belongs. Regarding human reproduction, humans typically produce twins as the maximum natural number of offspring at one birth. Anything beyond that, triplets, quadruplets, is more characteristic of other species and is considered artificial in the context of human design. This distinction reinforces the natural limits and structure of human development. Finally, the blood and genetic makeup of humans carry these ancestral and cosmic connections. Original blood types, such as O, represent our inherent compatibility. Later modifications in blood types, introduced through external interference, serve to destabilize and diverge humanity. Understanding blood, genes, and the 24,000 genomes helps us trace our lineage and the mechanisms by which life and consciousness manifest, linking us to both the physical and metaphysical realms. Imagine a crystal-clear glass board. At the moment of death, it shatters into countless pieces, each reflecting the emotions a person was experiencing at the end of life. If someone were to photograph your aura in that moment, it would appear like a kaleidoscope, a spectrum of colors representing your mood and emotional state. At death, the soul breaks into these fragments, each fragment gravitating toward an ether level corresponding to the last emotions experienced. Negative emotions like fear can pull fragments into the lower ether ranges, between levels 1 and 6, while positive, harmonious emotions allow fragments to ascend to higher ether levels, 7, 8, or 9. This principle is symbolically represented in rituals like the balloon ceremony. When balloons with messages for the deceased are released, it mirrors the soul's ascension according to its last emotional vibration. This is described in the text as feeding the forces, which shows how emotional energy directs the soul's fragments. Monotheistic religions often teach fear of death, portraying it as final and irreversible. This fear can trap a person's soul fragments in lower ether levels at the moment of death. By contrast, understanding reincarnation as a natural process, where death is merely a doorway, frees the soul to ascend appropriately. For the Nagar or Negroid lineage, fragments in the 7 to 9 ether levels remain aligned with their ancestry, while fragments in levels 1 to 6 risk being misaligned or exploited by external forces. Golden children are specially trained to address this misalignment. They understand the 9 abodes and can discern the vibrational rates of different ether levels. Through training, they learn to draw fragmented soul particles from lower levels and restore them to their correct ether range. This ensures that ancestral energy is preserved within the proper lineage rather than being siphoned by predatory forces. The soul is essentially the emotional energy of a person. Negative emotions, fear, or ignorance can leave fragments vulnerable, allowing external entities to feed off them. Golden children are trained to prevent this, guiding the fragments to their rightful place and restoring balance across generations. Regarding human life and reproduction, originally, humans manifested as conjoined twins with male and female aspects. Eventually, these separated into individual sexes. Hermaphrodites, beings with both male and female energies, can perceive multiple abodes, making them natural gatekeepers. They can train others to align ancestral energy correctly. In human reproduction, the male and female principles were designed to complement one another. The female holds the matrix, the code of life for this planet. The male was endowed with additional strength and protection to preserve the female's genetic lineage. Twins in the female's 2 mammary glands reflect the design to nurture and continue life. Project 24 describes the seeding and structuring of life on Earth, including the development of humans, their genomes, and the planet's life-sustaining systems. Our solar system is part of Sector 24, Zone 6, with Earth positioned according to this ancient cosmic framework. Early Earth was violent and unstable, with extreme heat and atmospheric turbulence. Life needed resilience, and elements like chromium, the 24th element, helped shield early life forms and protect genomes against degradation. This explains the connection between the 24,000 human genomes and the structural elements of the planet. Ultimately, this framework explains how human emotion, ancestry, and cosmic design intersect. Golden children, spiritual practices, and awareness of death as a doorway allow the proper alignment of soul fragments, ensuring ancestral energy remains intact and protected. To understand why we are here, and why our physical form exists as it does, we must look to the sand, to the very earth beneath us, and to the tremendous heat that formed it. This process prevents degradation, stops corrosion, and in that crucible, we find the correlation numbers, the fundamental codes. These numbers are obviously linked to us as carbon-based life forms. So, what does this say, and why discuss it? It shows us, very briefly, our origin. We are born from that stellar forge, but then we break down into ethers, or what could be referred to as physical ethers. A physical ether is a physical description of us as a species. So, physical ethers describes the species of human beings within the sand, within a race, though the word race should really be replaced by planetary nation. What you must understand is explained here. From physical ethers, our ancestors, upon their authority, logged us by way of physical and mental ethers. Each humanoid creature is unique. We understand this as individuals. We are uniquely placed, with a unique fingerprint, a unique marker in the continuous flow of time. But as a collective, we sit within a race. Think of it like the electromagnetic frequencies in your house. There are protocols worldwide to ensure your television works within a certain range, different from your router or your phone. They don't interfere because of agreed upon standards. In a similar fashion, races are configured within a certain ether range. This relates to the vibrational configuration of what we, as a race, resonate on. We, as Negroids, have 9 species, or 9 physical forms, within our ether range. You see this in the spectrum of hues, from a kind of yellow or caramel to blue-black. Within our natural range, we have 9 different species. The Dravidians have 7 within their race. The Mongoloids have 3. The Caucasians have 6 species within their ether range. When our ancestors transition, they vibrate on a specific frequency. If we could tune into that range, we could communicate with them, even see them, because we exist in both physical and etheric, or spiritual, realms. Therefore, we can provide a conduit between these realms. We are all separated, vibrating on unique frequencies as individuals and as a race. To communicate, one has to dial into the exact station, the exact vibrational frequency or voice. In the spirit world, these are called family spirits or familiar spirits, a term given negative connotations through horror movies and religions like Wicca. This negativity stems from the fact that we were not physical first. The Supreme Being, the original essence, has a physical body built around it. We came from that higher energy state and lowered into this physical environment, but those interlinks remain. When those 9 etheric gases slowed in vibration, they manifested as a melanated, woolly-haired individual. Others, with a less potent gaseous formula, a 3 ether or 6 ether gestation, slowed to manifest as a colorless or transparent individual with straight fur, not hair. There is less potency in that formula. This is why I speak of a partial destruction of the original creation, a change, a reduction of 1/3 of the energy in the formula. All races are registered on a particular rate range and have their own ancestors. Therefore, any developed way of life, any religion, should direct you to maintain your link with your ancestors and your true creators. Now, to the question about male aggression, particularly the horrific acts we see. We must realize we are a step away from our original state. Originally, as explained, we were hermaphroditic. The concept of male rulership is a biblical concept, birthed from the Torah, which itself is a copy of the Sumerian tablets. Those tablets speak of extraterrestrials called the Anunnaki, who instituted a patriarchal system. This is the root of male dominance, a rule by brute strength and power, where the woman is seen as subservient. In our original culture, it was based on nature. Nature does not prioritize the feeder over the source. The female holds the matrix. In the design of what we call Project 24, we were split from hermaphrodites into single-gender beings, male and female. The male was split out as a protector. The issue arose when females gave over their rulership. Originally, women could fertilize their own eggs, replicate, and produce another female. They could use males at certain times but also reproduce asexually on their own, like the Komodo dragon. When she fell in love, in a sense, with her own creation, the male, and stopped fertilizing her own eggs, she became reliant solely on the male for reproduction. In giving that up, she gave her rulership to males. This led, thousands of years later, to males ruling by brute strength. Later, other chromosomal configurations emerged that are not naturally occurring. The DUF1220 on chromosome 1, for instance, relates to the formulation of the Caucasians by their ancestors, a combination of Anunnaki, Pleiadians, and the monkey/simian gene. Our origin is from the stars and the waters of this planet. We were the original merfolk, not from monkeys. The chimp element introduced aggression, territoriality, and testosterone. The mental capacity of a male with this influence does not develop past that of a 13-year-old. Look at our society, sports, competition, video games, action movies. It is all based on childlike thinking. Conflict is resolved by fighting, not diplomacy. This is where the deep-seated aggression comes from. Males, ruling through this distorted lens, are destroying the environment. Nature perceives this as a problem. The shift in 2012 was a return to female energy on the planet, a realignment every 12 to 13,000 years pointing back to the center of the galaxy, moving us back toward our original charcoal state. So, the terrible acts of rape and violence we see are a symptom of this imbalance, a male rulership operating from a place of underdeveloped mentality and severed connection from the original protective design. The female's dormant divinity and the male's distorted aggression are two sides of the same rupture from our etheric and harmonious origin. The path forward is a remembering, a reconnection to those ancestral frequencies and the restoration of balance, as nature itself is seeking to do. Remember, it's not all males. No, I know it's not all males, but the issue is that there are too many exhibiting these patterns. What I'm saying is serious, and I realize how troubling it sounds. What you're seeing on the surface is actually two different things at once. On one hand, there are inherent skills that were programmed into what we might describe as male energy and female energy entities. Each set was given 9 specific skills at birth, and as these energies combined over time, humans began to be born with natural abilities, innate talents like singing or drawing. I'm not talking about learned skills, I mean the kind of ability where someone can produce photorealistic art without instruction. These were embedded in the genome by our ancestors. When DOOF 1220 came along, it acted as a kind of designer gene. The combination of these gene sets with the simian introduced obsessive traits into the human genome. These aren't skills, they are compulsions, obsessive behaviors, heightened sexual drives, and fixations on certain characteristics. Male dominance and ruling tendencies, for instance, weren't accidents, they were by design. The Vikings are a historical example. They were genetically predisposed to spread their genes, forcibly if necessary, creating new sub-races along the way. Viking literally encodes this, vi, 6, and kings or kin, 6 sets of families, who went out to propagate their genes. This was their nature, their purpose, programmed into them by a higher design, whatever name you choose to give it. Add to this the obsessive traits introduced by DOOF 1220, combined with cultural factors like legalized pornography and media that glorify sexual exploitation. These elements drive behavior in ways that disrespect the sacredness of sex and devalue women. Historically, religion was introduced as a tool to civilize humans, to teach cooperation and suppress the more violent instincts. But civilization itself was an overlay on an inherently barbaric nature. Humans were designed to live in communities, but their animalistic tendencies, traces of genes from creatures like the simian or the canine, still assert themselves. Dog-eat-dog behavior, for example, reflects this animalistic genetic heritage. Religion sought to control the beast, but when the higher powers couldn't, they abandoned the task, leaving humans to navigate this complexity on their own. The impact of these inherent traits and obsessive behaviors is everywhere: music, fashion, media, even games. Children are exposed from a young age to patterns that normalize taking what they want rather than learning cooperation. This is why you see such widespread destructive behavior in society today. The designer gene created obsessive behaviors, and these behaviors are amplified by cultural programming. Ancient depictions of humans with animal heads, for example, weren't symbolic for the Egyptians. They reflected real, genetically coded traits that became more prominent when the Anunnaki influence fused with the human line. Civilization only masks these instincts. Without it, the underlying nature resurfaces. This is also evident in legal and societal structures. Man's law often competes with what might be called God's law. Behavior that is destructive or self-serving can be considered legal if it serves certain interests. Historical practices like slavery and sexual violence were codified in this way, not against their own group, but against others, reflecting a pattern embedded in genetics and reinforced by societal rules. Today, the merging of these behaviors and the degradation of genes leads to a kind of white noise, interfering with our connection to our ancestors and spiritual knowledge. Gene pollution disrupts our ability to tune into that frequency, just as static interferes with a radio signal.